thank you everybody for availing yourself. Thank you everybody for availing yourself, and I honor you. We appreciate you guys for all you have done for this country and for keeping us safe and for wearing the uniform so proudly. So I'm going to start with a brief introduction. I don't know why I'm hearing myself. Hold on. Think. Okay. Can the viewers tell me if the sound is okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, good. All right, I could hear echo on my end. I wanted to see. All right, so let's start with brief introduction. Tana, how about we get started with you? You're the only gentleman here.
Yeah. Well, my name is Tanner Doe. I am a veteran of the United States Army. I served in the 82nd Airborne Division. I joined 2008 and I get out in 2012. Been to Korea and Iraq. And I'm an infantryman. Sorry, that's my job in the Army.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I was having trouble with my sound. Yeah. All right, I'm so sorry. My sound is acting up. But let's go to you, Danielle.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Danielle Lanier, and I am a native Oklahoman. When I graduated from high school in 1994, I joined the Navy, and I served honorably for 5 years, and I got out in 1999. While I was in logistics, which mainly consisted of budgeting, accounting, just kind of working in supply, making sure that we had everything that we need to complete our missions and functions. I had the ability to travel to Guam, Puerto Rico, Canada, and to Spain.
Okay. LaShonda.
Hello, my name is LaShonda Traylor Clayton. Actually, I'm an Army veteran. I enlisted in the Army in 1990, served to 1998. I was a 91 Delta, which is an operating room specialist. So I continued career now as in my personal career. I'm still in the medical field. I'm a family nurse practitioner.
Awesome. Okay, I am getting, somebody is not able to see us. So let me see about this. Give me just a second. Okay. Lucy, are you able to see now? Lucy? Someone just told me that they couldn't see us, so hold on. I don't know why today it's acting up. It's not showing on the on Facebook, so hold on. Okay, I think it's showing now. Lucy, are you there? Can you tell me if you can see it on your wall or on Facebook? Okay, all right, I think it's on. Okay, awesome. I am so sorry. I think I'm gonna, I'm so sorry. Can I please have you guys just introduce yourselves again? There was something wrong with my setting. So a lot of people are not, so people are just coming on the wall right now to see. So can we just get started again? Brief introduction. Tana, if we can get started with you, please just introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tanner Doe. I moved to the United States in 1991 from Vietnam. I joined the United States Army in 2008, and I got out in 2012. I've been deployed to Korea and Iraq. I'm a infantryman with the 82nd Airborne Division.
Okay, Danielle.
Hi, I'm Danielle Lanier. I joined in 1994 after I graduated from high school. I served for 4 years. During the time period that I was in logistics, mainly consisting of like budgeting and diplomacy, supply, mainly making sure we have everything that we needed.
Good. Lashanda. You're mute. There you go.
I'm LaShonda Traylor Clayton. Actually, I served in the United States Army. I enlisted in 1990 during the first Gulf War. I served for 8 years in the military, and I was a 91 Delta operating room specialist, and I'm currently still in the medical profession now as a family nurse practitioner.
And the millennial, Lynn.
Hi, I'm Lynn. I joined the Army in 2013. I am a reservist, so I actually will be leaving in 2021. Right now I'm in the individual ready reserve. I was a paralegal specialist and I am continuing in that career path as I am currently in law school.
Awesome. All right. So just to get us started, let's kind of so we can understand. I know it's Independence Day. This country is a country of immigrants. Just to understand a little bit of history, Danielle, and I'm going to start with you because you're the active politician right now. Can you just tell us a little bit why, led by George Washington, why did Americans have to fight the British?
They fought the British because they wanted their independence. They wanted to have freedom of ideas. They wanted to have the freedom to exist, the taxation part of it. The same things we're actually still fighting for today. So if we're going to talk about why they fought the British, you know, we're going to say these rich white men, they wanted their independence. And even right now, 200 and something years later, it's exactly the same thing we're fighting for now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. If we can move on, Tana, if I can go to you, what is representative democracy opposed to a monarchy?
Well, representative democracy is an opportunity to give people a chance to represent the people that they where they're coming from. Monarchy is a one family ruling system that rules for the whole country. It's passed down by lineage. It has nothing to. It won't allow ordinary people like Danielle and I to run for public office for sake. So democracy is what we need. But monarchy from back then and monarchy of today are totally two different era. Where monarchy of today is just totally a figurehead for the country. Regardless, they don't have any real power. The minister, the prime minister, and the cabinet is the one who make the decision for the country.
Okay, Lynn, do you want to add anything to that? You good, Lashanda? Lashanda, you're mute. Your mic is on mute.
Okay.
I said, did you want to add anything towards Danielle and Tana have said so far?
No, actually, I totally agree.
Okay. All right. Does somebody want to explain to us? Originally, there were 13 colonies. What was the role of these 13 colonies in the creation of America we know today, Lynn?
The 13 colonies were the ones who were originally so pissed off about the taxation without governing, which is very interesting because it's similar to DC. They're taxed, but they're not really represented. So they're the ones who agreed to the Declaration of Independence, and then they're the ones who focused on the American economy, mining, before the Industrial Revolution came to play, and then changed the focus of America's economy, and that's where America itself started. Yeah.
So we have a new branch of military that was added not too long ago, and it's the Space Force. Lashanda, are you familiar with that?
A little bit. I've heard a little bit about it. I really don't get into it a whole lot, but I know in space warfare we have it. Well, something. It's kind of like, it reminds you of back in the days when a picture came out about space games and how we're dealing with other countries now on a whole different level, because we are having times when our systems are being tapped into by other governments and people are infringing, on our rights here as U.S. citizens. And that is one of the things that we utilize drones and things now. So it's a whole different era of space warfare that we're using now. We're able to see things, and the technology is so advanced compared to what it, used to be. And that's one of the things that's been great about having some space warfare, but I know it is a form of our government.
Okay. All right. Danielle, just so we can get into what is happening, the news, and what all of us hear about all the time. And I was trying so much not to be so political with you guys, because I wasn't sure I could go there until I was told that you guys have a right speech. So reports from intelligence services have emerged alleging that Russia offered to pay bounty on Taliban to kill American soldiers. How does that make you feel, and what should America do with that intelligence? Danielle.
I understand that there are certain things that go on during war, especially proxy war, where this is not uncommon. So this is not the first time where bounties have been placed on American heads. It's also whenever we're at war or we're in the middle of conflict with someone, that people can put bounties on other officers, especially which is if we were to even go back to like the Vietnam conflict, a lot of our officers over there, they would remove any badges or anything that identified them as a leader, so that they would not be singled out to be murdered first, or to be singled out, because it's almost like a trophy to be able to kill an officer, especially, or kill someone that holds some type of rank. And when we fast forward to now, I'm outraged. If we were really to kind of look at that, I understand that intelligence is coming in, facts have to come in before people make a statement, before the White House makes a formal statement, before leadership makes a formal statement. However, there is enough information that's out there now to where it needs to be addressed. Today is, for many people, Independence Day. So it should have been addressed prior to now, or at least we need an understanding as the American people what action needs to be taken. We need an understanding that, yes, we acknowledge that these reports are coming in. We're going to do everything we can to find out if it's true and to hold the parties accountable for their actions.
Tana, same question to you.
Well, this is a serious matter, and if this is true, then I'm outraged about what's going on to my brothers and sisters in arms that's currently deployed overseas right now. But until we gather all the intelligence and until we see the actual fact what's going on, I can't really make a true statement about it, because this is part of the intelligence committee. All we know as far as right now is that there's a bounty on our soldier, and it's unfortunately that is the nature of war. If this is true, then I am I'm outraged about it, and there's something that really need to be addressed, and the Senate Intelligence Committee really needs to put an investigation to this and take a serious look about it. And so that way, our brothers and sisters that are fighting right now in the war zone that are not going to be in danger.
Mm-hmm. Lynn, when you hear such intelligence, does it do you worry if you were to be sent out to war?
Yes, I do worry, but that's also the nature of the job that I signed up for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of, if this is true, what exactly is the president going to do about it? And then it starts bringing up questions of, should American troops be removed from Afghanistan faster now, or should
Mm-hmm.
they continue to do the work that they're supposed to do there? It's just a lot of questions that I personally am not very comfortable with, and I'm very angry about. And if I have to go, then I have to go. That's just what I have to do. But I
Right.
also have friends who are currently serving and are in and out of Afghanistan more often than a lot more people are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lashana, do you feel like this administration has been slow to acting on such intelligence?
I think so. I think actually with all of the information that's been gathered in the data, whether it's true or false, we should never take anything lightly. I think we need to verify and validate, and we need to act on it, because again, these are our troops. These are people who have signed up, wear the uniform proudly to protect our country and to perform a duty. And we should ensure safety on every corner when they're having to go into harm's way. And it is a responsibility of our government to not take anything lightly. I know we have to verify and get all the facts, but I think it should be something that is moved definitely to the top of the priority list every day when we talk about the safety of our country and the safety of our soldiers that are protecting our country.
So you guys are already retired, Lashanda, Tana, and Danielle. Is there anything you guys can do, or just encourage the ones that are out there, or what can you guys do?
You're able to, the only thing that we're really able to do is reach out to our local elected officials, mainly our state congresspeople and state senators, and urge them, especially if they're on a part of the Intelligence Committee, we're supposed to reach out to them because they're supposed to represent us as a voice. We can also reach out directly to our president as well, just to let him know that we are concerned about this, and we're anxiously standing by to find out what his stance is, and for him to let us know what's going on.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing. We got to reach out to the Senate Intelligence Committee to do a thorough investigation, because information on the ground, by the time it gets up to the change of command, thing might change. So before we really do anything, we really need to take a look. This is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. This is about American life. It's American soldiers that are fighting for our country. So in a way, people can use this as politics to destroy one party or the other. But at the same time, this is soldiers' life that we're talking about. So we really need to put our country first and sit down and be a bipartisan on these issues and talk about what's best for our country, what's best for our soldiers that are risking their life for our freedom.
Right.
I agree with Hannah with that, because I feel that if this kind of information, if this is allowed to go on, what it's going to do is going to decrease morale in the military. And then when you're looking for individuals that could possibly re-enlist, that will pose a problem with re-enlisting, and even with people just enlisting to get in the military, period. Because they'll feel that if our government is not going to protect them or turn a blind eye to some things that could be factual, that's not going to give them motivation to want to even join the military to protect our country. And then when we have people that are retiring out or getting out or whatever, you think if you're not putting a soldier 2 or 3 in for everyone that retire out, it's going to mean that our military is going to at some point become depleted.
Lynn, I see you shaking your head.
I was agreeing, because when you start thinking about it, the first thing that I remember being told as soon as I got to basic is like, thank you for your service. You realize that only like 1% of the American population actually signs up for the military. Let's just start there. It's a very low number that volunteers to sign up for the military. Forget the fact that males have to do selective service.
Yeah.
choosing to serve the military isn't something that people take lightly. And it's like Mr. Channer said, it is not about any party. It's simply about my life, my battle's life, and anyone who's out there. Their life matters more than declaring this is a Republican issue, this is a Democratic issue. It's not. It's my life.
Right. Wow.
I mean, it's a shame that our politicians use this as a ploy for their election, but this is something that we really need to put aside and take it seriously, because we cannot put the soldiers that are out there like they're in a hunger game and then play game with them. I mean, they have family back home. They volunteer to serve this country, and if the parties that decide to use this as a ploy for their political gain, then shame on them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I want to go to the next question. America has been seen as a beacon of hope for many. It's been respected as a leader on the world stage. But right now, some countries have barred Americans from visiting their countries due to its failure to stem COVID-19 pandemic. Would you say America has lost its place as a leader in the world stage? Recently, I think it was yesterday, I was watching TV and I saw some Americans that had gone to Italy, and they were denied entry. So would you say that America has lost its place as a leader in the world stage? I'm going to go to you, Danielle.
I don't know if I've necessarily say that we've lost our place. I think this is a long time coming on depending on what the topic is. Have we taken a proactive approach to the pandemic? No, we have not. I think we still stand for a beacon of certain things, definitely of freedom and opportunity, but we definitely dropped the ball, if we're going to be completely honest, on COVID-19. We had a pandemic research team that we've had forever to normally kind of keep us as the leader of taking the focus of this. And unfortunately, that pandemic response team was disbanded. So now we're trying to go back. We're trying to gather scientists to study this virus and what's going on with it. Right now, we know the basics. The issue is that a lot of it's being exploited. A lot of the information, we have a lot of misinformation and disinformation that's being put out to the public, which is why some of the numbers are spiking. When we have a lot of our leaders, because we have different echelons of government, and if they can't get on one accord, it's causing discord within the people. If your president is saying one thing, but yet your governor is saying something different, and then your mayor is saying something else, but your county judge is saying something else, it causes discord, and that's kind of where we are.
Yeah. Lashanda, you are a nurse practitioner.
Yes.
So what is your view on this?
The COVID pandemic, I mean, it's unbelievable, and the numbers are really rising, and they're rising drastically. And I think the main thing that's going on that's hurting us as far as being able to go to other countries is I don't think it's COVID, number one, but I think we've lost our reliability and our credibility as a country in the eyes of other leaders. And when our president gets on national television and tell people that we've got it under control, and people see that our numbers are still rising, then the two aren't correlated. You can't correlate the two. And so they're not allowing us to enter their country because what we're saying is under control is absolutely not under control. And they can see that. People know things that go on in the US other than just us here that lives here. So that hurts us as far as the opportunity to travel to other countries. And I think right about now, we need to do more contact tracing. We need to do more masks, because as a frontline worker, the cases are rising. The patients are on ventilators. They're going through a procedure now that's called ECMO, which is extracorporeal, mechanical oxygenation, where they filter the blood out of the body and oxygenate the blood, because the lungs is so covered with pneumonia that it's not able to do it this full capacity, which is to oxygenate the blood, and people are suffering, and it's so horrific now. And as a frontline worker, I see it, and I mean, it's sometimes it can be a little overwhelming for us. And until we get someone that clearly understands that this is out of control and we get something done about it, the cases are going to keep rising.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we've also had mixed messages of, should you wear a mask? Should you not wear a mask? Lynn, what would you have expected from your commander-in-chief?
A lot more. It's just before before America became #1 of COVID cases, we saw it in Italy. We saw it in Italy. And we didn't allow Italians into the country. And we are the new Italy. And so we're not being allowed into other countries. I would have expected more because we're such a large country that a lot of people are always bragging about our healthcare, which is subpar compared to a lot of other countries. People have lost their jobs because we don't want to spread the continuous infection of COVID, but then people are losing their jobs and therefore they're not able to get any healthcare. I don't understand. There's an issue. We fix the issue. That's just it. But I understand that there's a lot more coming towards it because I'm not in the healthcare field, but my parents are. And so I understand we should be wearing masks. But what I am very upset about is that we now have someone who does not believe COVID is real. But it is because people are continuously dying.
Yeah.
Just
Tana. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Are you finished, Lynn? Okay. Tana, what were you going to say?
As far as it goes, we should have handled this a lot better when it comes to it. And thank you to people like LaShonda that are on the front line helping our citizen getting well. The science behind this, I think a lot the people worry about is the economy, and they're willing to put the economy before the lives of the people.
Yeah.
This shutdown should have been done at the beginning instead of we open it way too soon, and then we end up hurting. And again, the communication between all elected officials from all the way to the top to the county judge need to be a really clear message right now. Everybody seems to pass the buck around, and the buck doesn't seem to stop anywhere, but it's just we're playing a Russian roulette with our citizen. And as far as I still believe that we are still the beacon of hope for the rest of the world. We are still the leader, but we need to do better. We need to elect elected officials that truly care about the American people, truly care about what's going on, believe in science. I mean, science and facts, they're real. They're not some makeup things. And we really need to look at when we go out there and elect official, we have to elect them for who they are, not what they say. Elect them on what they have been done for the country and not what their previous, their family members have been doing or whatnot. And don't believe everything a politicians say. I mean, they only tell you what needs to be to get elected, but once they get into the office, you see the opposite. And at the end of the day, they all worship the same master, and that is the big corporation. They're in it for themselves and not for ordinary people. Just like everything going on right now with Black Lives Matter, it's the same way. We could save this situation should have dealt with 10 George Floyds ago, but we let it go on. We have not passed any bill. We have not really taken care of our African American community. We need to have a big discussion out there, and communication is key. I think a lot of time we've just been misunderstood and the way how people behave here.
So almost actually, I think I want to say every presidential candidate during the campaign, the one thing or the most important thing they always run on is, I'm going to increase the military budget. I'm going to make the military strong. They always say that because it's really important for America to be powerful, for America to retain its position as the leader of the world. Is it necessary for America, or does America need to police the world?
I
Tanya.
don't think we, oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Tanya. Go ahead, Tanya, I'm sorry.
I don't think we do need to be the police of the world, but word needs to have a presence there just in case the people in that country needs help. Like, look at Venezuela, for example, the way they treat their people. It's not about being controlled, but it's about humanitarian mission to help ease what's going on in the world today. When we talk about military budget, a lot of this money doesn't really go into a soldier's pay raise. It really goes into private company that do the work for the military. For example, like when I was on active duty, one of the soldiers break down the door, and it cost $3,000 to replace that one door. And I couldn't imagine why it cost that much, because if I can go out to Home Depot and buy the door and put it back on, it should be like a couple $100. It should not be around $3,000. So those are little things that that's what the budget goes toward. It doesn't really goes toward the soldiers' pay raise or per se. And we really need to take a look at that, the funding when we distribute out to the military before anything else.
Okay. Danielle?
I think that if we have to bring our soldiers, sailors, Air Force men, if we have to bring any member of our armed forces into U.S. soil to help defend it, it means that we have not done a good job of preserving the resources that are already there. That's really the purpose of our sheriff's department. It's the purpose of our police force. That's what they're for. That's why we have the different separations between our law enforcement. And honestly, I'm trying to find out why we would even need to bring our armed service people in to defend that. I guess that would be the bigger question. I think it's a fear tactic. It's a scare tactic for people that are untrained to take up arms, like we've been seeing when we constantly have news reports that is pandemonium that's breaking out and it's a violent protest. You know, we always have to be very cautious of our words. When we have that going on, it makes people think that we need to bring the military in to resolve that issue, and I just don't think that that's necessary. The violence that's being caused with these protests that's going on, a lot of that is coming from anti-government, not the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's coming from white nationalists, not the Black Lives movement.
Okay. Lynn, did you have anything to add on the budget?
I agree with everything Mr. Tanner said, because our things were breaking down left, right, and center, but the military budget was always increasing more and more. But so it doesn't really go towards the soldier, and that needs to be relooked at. And I think the reason why presidential candidates always speak about strengthening the military is because it's a flex. It's just when you start talking about it, you speak to an audience who's very I wouldn't say patriotic, but they're very like pro-military, which is fine. They can be. But you speak to that audience, and then that audience is incited to vote for you. But then outside perspective of US has a gigantic military that's very strong. So that's why I'm saying it's a flex. You appeal to an audience who wants to appear strong, and that audience always votes for you.
Okay. So Lashonda, explain to us then a strong military, and what else do we need to keep on strengthening with America, the American military, because America is still a superpower. What else do we need to strengthen?
I think as far as our military, we definitely need to keep a strong military, because when you compare the size of our military and look at China's military and some of the other militaries, I think as far as numbers, they're very, very large in numbers. And we need to always have a strong military force, because I always say it's important, because, you know, we don't want to stretch our troops so thin because we don't have the adequate number of troops to send wherever they're being deployed to, and they can be in different various places at one time. So I think that that's most important. And as far as having budgeting there, I think it should be budgeting there for what they need specifically. And again, I know that we've always been deemed as a superpower of the world. Do I think we need to still stay that way? Of course we do, because I think that when people see that you're not as strong as you once were, they have a tendency to try to kind of tamper with you a little bit, or see what they can do to insult you a little bit more. So do I think we need that? That's most important. As far as the different forces, I've served Army. I knew we were a pretty big branch. I think it's important to keep all the branches at a certain size. That's most important, because they're all are doing different things. And, you know, what one does for the Army, you know, being deployed in Afghanistan, of course, will need Air Force personnel to be in the presence too at that time with them. So I think it's important for us to have a degree, definitely a degree of strength in each military. I don't think that one branch should necessarily outnumber the other. I think we need to, because we would have someone to have to pull up the rear if we needed that, you know, that presence to be there.
Okay. So I want to ask you, Tana, Russia and now the emergence of China as direct military competitors has posed a major challenge to America's dominance as the only superpower. What should we expect to happen to balance the power?
To balance the power? Well, diplomacy is what's really lacking in all politicians and what's going on around the world right now. We really need to engage in with all our allies and start building those relationships and work together to build our strength against China and Russia. But we also need to work with China at the same time to build a relationship. That way, there will be no major conflicts that's going to coming up. Because, like Lashana say, if we really go to war with China, they have a 1 billion man army. They can literally march across into the United States if there was land wise. So we really need to take a look at that, because we really don't want a civilian life loss for unnecessary war. War is an ugly thing, right? In my family, all of us live in the war, born in the war, and have fought in the war. So we've seen the devastation of what it has caused. And again, we really need to build relationship right now. Like, look at England and France and Italy, all those countries, we're starting to slowly alienating them. We're pissing them off left and right. So we really need a president who understand that and not be so arrogant about who he is, and really work together, because we could not survive by ourselves. And as far as it goes with other countries at the same time, we provide funding for them. We provide a bailout for them. So when we give those countries money, we need to have an expectation on what they're going to do with those money. Are they going to take care of the citizen or not? We just cannot give them a blank check and let them continue on just abuse those systems and just take money from us without any precaution in return. With that, if we do that, then we don't really need a strong presence of military force all around the world to deal with it. Again, it's going back to diplomacy and have an actual adult in DC to sit there and talk about. Right now, we don't really talk about the big issues. Everything we're talking about is it's hurting the Americans' life. It's divisive right now.
Okay. All right. So Danielle, and I'm picking on you, Danielle, on this because you are the active politician here again. So do you think that we have damaged our relationships with other countries?
Oh, absolutely. the United States, just like Tanner said, and we've kind of all alluded to, is that we've always been based out of professionalism, humanitarian. Our president has always represented that, to be a farce, well-spoken, seems to be the most caring person. That's always been one of the traits that our president has displayed, which aided us to have a more humanitarian approach when it came to dealing with world leaders. Now I would say that we have someone that is just who they are, and we've always known who they are, and they may not be like other presidents when it comes to diplomacy, and we're suffering because of that. So words matter, your behavior matters, all of that matters, especially when you hold the highest office in the land, because you're supposed to set the tone for what everybody else is supposed to follow, especially when the world is looking at you and the world is conducting themselves in a traditional fashion of being professional, of just putting their best humanitarian efforts on display. So I feel like we have been shunned. And if you actually go back and look at some videos, we're being laughed at. They look at us and they're like, wow. And that has an effect on all of us, how we interact with people, and even how we interact with ourselves. Like you said, the world is watching us, and obviously they can kind of see this. And a part of what's happening now is because people aren't taking us seriously, and that doesn't mean that we need to, oh yes, we need to beef up our military, and try to take things by force. In order to have peace, there has to be diplomacy, there has to be humanitarian efforts. People have to communicate and come to the table with more than just guns blazing. And I think that that's kind of where we are. And for a lot of people, that's what they're hoping for, because they think that that is the right way for change.
Lashanda, what are we going to have to do to mend our relationships?
I think the first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get a strong commander-in-chief that's in position, and someone who is going to have some empathy and sympathy for others. We need a strong leader of this country, and it is obvious because it is so much that is going on within our walls that we're having to deal with. And then there's issues outside of our borders that we're having to deal with. And the sad thing that we see now is that, we're 200 years plus outside of the time of slavery. We should be further down the road than we are now, without having someone who's a leader, supposed to lead our country, and is throwing negative statements and causing our country to be further divided. And then, of course, we have broken relationship with our allies. And that doesn't look good, because, again, it's embarrassing. And I'll just be very, very honest. It's embarrassing. And we've never, in the many years that I've been on this earth and I've known the presidents that have come through, we've never had anyone in office that have conducted themselves in this manner, where our allies no longer want to be our allies because they don't see us trustworthy and reliable and dependable, that type of thing. And it hurts us. So we're hurting on the inside and we're hurting on the outside. And we're just going to have a strong leader that's going to be able to bring everything together. It's so many gaps now, but we're going to need a strong leader that's going to be able to come and be able to bridge these gaps together with our allies, and be able to allow some type of reform within our walls, to be able to allow us citizens to be able to live together, work together, love together with some harmony.
Lynn?
We need apology.
Apology?
Yeah, we need to apologize. I honestly believe an apology goes a long way, but have you ever seen America apologize? So that's exactly. So it's going to be difficult. I think the thing is, I don't think we've been written off necessarily as a country, but I think our president has. And so that's currently the issue. So we do have a lot of things that we do need to work on, and especially rebuilding those relationships, because at this moment, people are tired of hearing somebody's mouth, and it's going to take somebody else or for him to come back and grovel, but that's very unlikely.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I have to say one thing, is like when I put on the uniform.
Tana, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I said when we put on a uniform and we deploy overseas, we are the ambassador for the United States. We represent the United States. So we need to act accordingly of who we are when we deploy overseas. If politicians not doing our job, then the soldier will have to pick it up and be the representative of who we are, and that we are there to help. We're not there to cause chaos. That's all I want to say.
Do you agree with Lynn that America needs to apologize?
And Monica, I would also like to add to that. I think it would be like me coming to your house as a guest. I want to should come to your house and respect you at your house, and honor you at your house and be grateful for being there. And that's what I think sometimes we've gotten to the point in our lives where we're not grateful. We don't say thank you. We don't try to show ourselves being appreciative. And that goes a long way when you're dealing with people and dealing with other countries. And whenever we go to those other countries, we have to understand that we're in their houses per se, and that we need to conduct ourselves as such.
Wow, that's powerful. So I want to say thank you for your service. You have all proudly worn your uniforms and served this country. You voluntarily chose to defend our freedom and democracy. How does the current state of politics make you feel in reference to COVID-19, which we have really covered? But explain to me this democracy of, we're infringing people's rights when we tell them to wear masks. So explain to me that. Danielle, I'm going to start with you.
I was already coming off mute because I was going to take that first. Yes, I am. Yes, I am running for office. And for me, when we start talking about right, I always make sure that I start with the Constitution. It's not written anywhere in the Constitution that says, yes, you must wear a mask or you don't wear a mask. I like love for people when we talk about rights. So basically, wearing a mask and not wearing a mask has nothing to do with your rights. What it is that we're in the middle of a pandemic and we're trying to take the best safety precautions that could be available to people, because we don't have a pandemic response team anymore to kind of tell us the best approaches that we should be. So we've kind of come up with the best practices, and that's what I explain to people what it is. It's a best practice, and you're not wearing a mask because you're a sheep following everybody else. You're not being asked to wear a mask because people want you to suffocate, or because you follow a particular basically a particular political affiliation. People are asking you to wear a mask out of respect for others and respect for yourself. You don't always know what type of environment you're walking into. You don't know if people are, what's happening with that. So just as a safety precaution, no one said it's going to prevent it. No one said it's going to cure it. No one has ever said that this is the only way that we can do this. People have just said this is what we know right now, and we're going to try to put these in place. There are so many instances. I could even begin to tell you where people have been spat on, where I know my husband works for the post office, and if people come in, they ask them to put a mask on. People become belligerent in the post office. Just recently, people are fights are starting over this. People are saying, especially in Texas, people are saying, you're taking away my freedom of choice. If I don't want to wear one, this is kind of my thing. If you want to wear one, great. If you don't, respect the businesses and the people that require you to wear one. If this is my place of business and I'm going to put it down that, hey, please wear a mask in my location, that's what I expect you to do. If you don't want to comply with that, go somewhere else. And it's just really as simple as that. I do like that in Texas, they did implement that there will be a fine if people didn't want to wear masks. They've already filed a lawsuit against that. So I'm like, okay, if you don't want to do this, what are your ideas? I'm a solution-based person, and I wish everybody was solutions-based minded. So if you don't want to do this and you're going to argue with everything that comes up, what's your solution? And that's what I like to ask people. Okay, so if we're not going to social distance, we're not going to wear a mask. Well, what's your bright idea on how, what's your best practice? So that's how I leave with that.
Yeah. And Lashanda, you as a nurse practitioner, do you feel that people should be responsible, and know by now, at least everybody has been educated, how to prevent, COVID, to protect themselves from COVID-19, but we're still having people coming up, and saying that, no, it is my right to wear a mask, but it is not their right to infect other people. So what do you have to say about that?
And I agree with that statement, because you do have a lot of people who are they're very determined that they're not going to wear a mask. You're infringing on their rights by having them to wear a mask. But my point is that I have a right to be protected. The person with cancer has a right to be protected. A small child has a right to be protected. So if you don't want to do it for yourself, at least do it for others. Because, when you're in the hospital and having to be put on a vent, because you have pneumonia from it, I don't think you would mind anybody wearing a mask while they're putting you on a vent. And I'm pretty sure if you get that sick, you wouldn't mind putting a mask on them. I think the part that people are missing is they have not experienced COVID-19. They have not lost a loved one to COVID-19. They don't know the severe complications that surrounds being having COVID-19. Some of them don't even know the symptoms that comes with having COVID-19, and they're walking around as carriers, thinking that if I have a sinus infection or a cough, that's just sinus infection that's draining, is causing me to cough. Well, no, you could possibly have COVID-19. So I don't think that we are really talking about the symptoms, because if we are, people will realize, well, you know what, I'm having those symptoms. I may need to get myself checked out or call a healthcare professional and ask them what's going on. People have a right not to wear a mask, but again, I think they have a right to protect the lives of the other people that they're coming in contact with.
Absolutely. Lynn, a lot of young people are the ones that are getting sick now. Before it was, 65 and above. Is there, I don't want to say recklessness or carelessness, but is there some ignorance, with young people, or what is your view?
Let's just start with the fact that in Arizona, there are parties where infected people come and non-infected people come, and the first person to get COVID gets a pot of money. That's what my generation's doing. So
Wow.
I don't think it's a matter of ignorance. I think they know, and it's now a matter of civility. There's a lack of civility in a lot of people right now. It's not a matter of, oh, I'm young, if I get COVID, it's unlikely that I'm going to die. But if I get COVID and all of a sudden I start getting the symptoms of someone who's about to die, they hurt. And then that's when they start changing their narrative from, oh, I'll live, I'll survive, to this mess is real, maybe you shouldn't do so. But it's literally just a matter of civility. If you don't want to wear a mask, cool, that's fine. But also you need to also be putting yourself in the position of, if you're going to start talking about, I have a right to not wear a mask, then somebody has a right to not be infected by you. So stay away from someone, stay away from people. If you want to not have a mask on and go outside willingly, then you should also go ahead and go to your house by yourself, stay in your room, stop socializing.
Right.
But right now, my generation and my brother's generation, the younger Gen Zs, or what are they, Gen Xs, Gen Zs, whoever they are, they just need to be civil, because it's not about my life is more important or my health is more important, but somebody who has a health condition's life, who I am near, is important. Their life is important.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
just go back.
Tana, go ahead. I was actually coming to you.
Just go back to the leadership too. If a leader start act upon it, how do you expect the younger generation to take it seriously? Wearing masks and gloves and everything else, it has been an ongoing thing in Vietnam. Every time people go outside, they wear masks, they wear gloves, they protect themselves from the environment, and not just from themselves. And this go back to when people argue about, it's my right, I don't have to wear a mask. It's the same approach as pro-life, right? people that are pro-life mean that you can not get an abortion, but then they are the one who's like, well, we don't have to wear a mask. We can go, there's nothing going on. And it's the same argument. If they saying that it's their body, it's their right, that they don't have to wear a mask, well, we'll look at the pro-choice. Why can't they be pro-choice if that's what their excuse are about? So to me, it goes to our leadership. Our leadership has to set the example, have to take this serious and start implement policy where it's to protect the citizen. Because if we keep this going on, our healthcare system is on the verge of breaking down. And if we don't do anything right now, we're going to bankrupt. We're going to put our healthcare system in a different path for the future.
So what I'm hearing from you guys is that like the governor of Texas has mandated that everybody has to wear a mask. If you don't, you get fined. So what I'm getting from you, Tana, and Danielle also, this is to protect everybody. So Lashanda, if I can ask you, with the patients that you have been seeing, I know initially we were all thinking, or we were educated that it's worse when you have pre-existing conditions. But we've also seen younger people die. In California, the youngest, I don't know if it was California, but the youngest is an 11-year-old. So we've seen people that are, in their 30s also die without pre-existing conditions. Can you speak on that, Lashanda?
Yeah, and I think I saw one where the youngest was 6 weeks old that passed away from COVID. So it's definitely, and I think what the younger population is failing to understand is that, of course, we know the younger generation does not always agree with the older generation, because sometimes they think we don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But when you have them show up at the emergency room and they develop these symptoms. So let me just go through the symptoms right quick, if that's okay. Cough, shortness of breath, fever, severe headache, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, body aches, fever, chills. Those are some of the main symptoms. Loss of sense of taste and smell. A lot of people don't know what the symptoms are. So that's one of the reasons why they're not identifying what they are. They could have it and not even know that those are the symptoms. And then they show up at the emergency room and you come in, you have a fever of 101 or 102. You complain of some body aches, a little bit of shortness of breath. And then, of course, these are some of the things. So automatically, when you come in, you get worked up for COVID, especially if you've had some fever for some days. And what we were doing a strep and flu just to make sure that it wasn't that, because strep and flu had been running a little bit later over into the season. Sometimes we would say the end of the flu season would be March 31st. But we started seeing people with flu that was in April and some in May. So we could not rule out those things. And then we started to do these series of labs. And one of them was mycoplasma pneumonia. We call it, as people call it in the healthcare profession, walking pneumonia. When those things came back negative and you're running a fever, and I do some blood work and you've got a white blood cell count of 18, 19, 20,000 and normal is 10, something's wrong.
Right.
So then we go through this workup on you, and we do this COVID screening and swabs, and then all of a sudden we know that your results may not be back right then. You may get in 2 to 3 days, maybe 7 days. That's been the longest time period. But then we do a chest X-ray, and we start seeing pneumonia in your lungs. Something developed and caused you to get pneumonia. And then people complain of shortness of breath. So because there is a new correlation of COVID with pulmonary embolisms, we have to do a CT angiogram of your chest just to see if you have a blood clot, because then it was being developed in younger people. So they just think, oh, the people wanted to compare this to the flu and say, oh, it's just the flu. No, the flu can turn to pneumonia. Of course it can. But people coming in and they already have pneumonia, something's wrong, and this young generation is clearly missing it. My sister had COVID, and when she first came to me with those particular symptoms, she said she had a headache is what she had, soreness in the top of her head, and she just had a fever. Well, went to the hospital, and when they did a chest X-ray, she had a spot of pneumonia on her lungs. Got swabbed for COVID, called back. Later, the physician called her, told her she was COVID positive. My sister literally thought she was going to die. She wrote her obituary because she was vomiting every single day. She lost about almost 16 pounds in a week.
Wow.
No underlying health conditions whatsoever.
Mhm.
And people are not taking it serious. And that's the sad situation, that it gets so severe that, you know, that's how people end up going on to the vent, because of the pneumonia. It's almost like a mutant. It mutates, and it multiplies rapidly, expands rapidly into both lungs. And that's how the lungs are not able to work to its full capacity.
Mhm.
So that's how they end up on the ventilator.
Mm.
And it's happening to the younger population. They're not even seeing it. Then they go and take it home and spread it to their family members.
Mhm. Right. Right. So, Danielle, this is probably off topic, but you know, I still need to ask this question. Yesterday, I actually went to Walmart and I saw, this is not even the first time I've seen grown-ups wearing masks, but their children are not. How irresponsible is that, Danielle? And how, as we mandate for everybody to wear masks, I mean, do we really need to spell it out and say children too?
I think we have spelled it out and said children should be wearing masks as well. I think we have made it as plain as we can that human beings should be wearing masks. I'm amazed, and not in a good way, every single day at I like how she put it, that this particular virus, it mutates so many different ways depending on your system. I had know 3 people that have it, including their children, and just they're asymptomatic. So it's been put out there already. Please wear a mask. If I have on one, definitely my son has on one. So, or if we only had one mask between us, please believe my son would have that mask on. So you know, we're still trying to fight the good fight. We're still trying to educate people as best as possible. But just what amazes me is that for every reason we give someone to wear a mask, just like she says, this is the extreme part of it. This is what could happen. You know, don't fall for the narrative that you have to have this. Only affects people with underlying health conditions, but this is what happens. It's amazing that for every fact you give somebody, they're able to counteract you with something else. Or they're like, well, I thought it was just like the flu. Well, why don't we talk about the people that have recovered? Well, what about the 5G towers? And you're kind of like, what does that have to do with what we're talking about now? So I would definitely say, if you're going to go out with the mask on, please make sure that your children have one on as well. It's just good practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Lashanda, there is no, you know, I had gotten to a point I'd started thinking, is there some news that passed me I didn't know? Can you please explain that children are still and are also at risk? Please tell them that.
Oh, it's most important. I think that this announced a adopted son of a gentleman who passed away the other day. I believe he was 11 or 12. He did have underlying health conditions, but it's still, there have been children that I've seen that have been on ventilators just from that. I think that people are forgetting the fact of the matter that it is airborne. We breathe it in, it's respiratory. We have to breathe to live. How do people not feel like that a child would be exempt from getting it? I think that they're thinking that it's not going to happen to them. That has been the saddest thing about it, is that it's not going to happen to me. It only happens to other people. It happens to all of us. And I had a newborn grandchild that was born in the midst of COVID. And I have done everything in my power to protect her because I do not want her to get COVID. I mean, their systems are still developing. And that is the part that they have to understand. They're still going through that developmental growth phase in their lives. And so a compromised respiratory system would not be good for a small child, because their child is going to have to work to try to fight off a bacteria or virus, something. So it's not good. And parents just need to understand that the children have to be protected too, irregardless. I mean, it's imperative that they know that.
And there are masks for kids.
Yes, and there are people that are making
They're
masks.
pediatric masks.
Pediatric. I have pediatric masks that I have ordered for my practice, and they're and when children come in, they have to. There is not an exclusion outside of my office door. It says, "Do not enter this facility without a mask on." And you have had people that have walked through the door, and I've had to ask them, "Could you please step outside of the door?" And they say, "I don't have a mask." Well, let me get you one, because you cannot come into my private practice without a mask on. And I think that people are so comfortable. I go into Walmart and they're in and out of Walmart all day long without a mask on. You know, like I said, people have a right to choose what they want, but then people have a right to be safe.
Right, absolutely. So I want to go to a different subject. After the death of George Floyd, it sparked a lot of protests, actually worldwide, and it made a lot of people start thinking. But what I guess Americans had not had in years and years is when the president threatened to invoke military on American soil. Can I don't even know how to put this question, but should US troops be deployed on American soil to control American citizens, Tana?
No. People has the right to be peaceful protesting. That's the part of the freedom of speech. And if there's an injustice that's going on, then they have the right to speak up. If you have to use the military to control a population, we're not a dictator country. I mean, I guess that's one way when monarchy are in control back in the day. When they don't like it, they bring in the military controlling the citizen, and that'd be it. I mean, like in Vietnam, it's the same thing. It's a communist country. People don't have the right to protest. If they do, they get beat up and they will go to jail for it. And to use the military for that purpose is not, I'm not for it. It's a waste of resource.
Okay. Danielle.
Okay, I guess the better question would be is why would the military need to be deployed? That would be my first question. The next question would be is that if we really want to look at this, just like Tanner said, under the First Amendment, it is the right to peaceful assembly. It is the right to free speech. So if we're going to look at that, from what I can tell, everything has been peaceful. The only reason why it's being sensationalized that there is violence is because later, after these peaceful marches are over, there are white nationalists and there are anti-government people that's blending in to the protests, and they're actually the ones that are committing the vandalism. They're actually the ones that are doing the rioting and doing the hard part of it. George Floyd, unfortunately, was one of many people that have been murdered through police brutality. He's not the only one. It is just that this particular event has caused billionaires and white people to finally pay attention to where when white people speak up, it makes a difference. Because if Black people could have gotten rid of police brutality and racism, we would have done so already. But now that corporate America is paying attention and corporate America is saying, we want this to change, is the only reason why this is getting the type of attention worldwide that it's getting, is because it took for other nationalities and for white people to stand up and say, hey, this might not be right. Hey, we're not okay with this. So being that it's garnered this attention, of course it's going to make some people that just don't get it think that this is an upheaval and that this is acts of violence, when it's not. You can't keep oppressing the oppressed. This is what's happening when voices are not heard.
Lynn, what do you say about the right to assembly?
We have that right. That's what the Constitution says. If we're going to talk about rights, we have the right to peacefully protest, and actually we have the right to protest in general. And so my biggest thing when it came down to it, when we were talking, the president was talking about deploying US troops to control Americans. No, that's not how it works. That's not a reason to do so. And if you start looking at the news right now, I'm pretty sure that no one has been talking about the continued protests that are continuing to go on because it's not violent anymore. So there's no need to report that. But there's a protest today in Sacramento. It ends at 2:30. But I'm pretty sure no one's going to report about that. So it's not about, like, even think about the fact that Baltimore riots happened when Freddie Gray died.
Yeah.
The National Guard were brought in so that they can enforce curfews because the governor decided that curfews were needed in Maryland in general just to kind of stop the violence. I can understand asking the National Guard to come help the police force, like, enforce curfews, not beat people and put them in jail, but just the presence there kind of enforces curfew. But there's absolutely no need to actively ask the reserves or the active duty to come in and show brute force carrying their there's no need to be carrying assault rifles on the streets so that you can tell people, go back to your house, you're not going to protest here, because then you're infringing on the rights that were given to me according to the Constitution. And we're not going to do that.
So I like these young people. So Lashanda, I remember the president said that when the looting starts, shooting starts. Or when the looting begins, they will start shooting. Do you think that that was a targeted statement? Was it directed to some people?
I think it was. Personally, I feel like that it was. I think it was directed toward a particular group of people because the president had to understand that it wasn't just the African-American group that was looting. I mean, there were other groups like that. It was known, and even reporters identified it, that they were coming in posing as protesters, and they were looting and causing in the midst of the riot. And it is just sad that people can have peaceful protests and demonstrations just to get the point out. All people want is everybody to be treated equal, fairly, and be able to have some justice. I mean, people have lost their lives because, and I'm a person, I'm a Black woman in America, and I don't want to be viewed or someone see me and feel like that, okay, her life does not matter. Do I think all lives matter? Of course they do, but Black lives definitely matter, because I think that we have been the race of people that have been treated inhumanely and unjustly for so many years. And it is just time for a change. We are in a different time, in a different era. And back during times of Dr. Martin Luther King, it was a no violence, but there was protest then. And there was so many people who lost their lives in the midst of this. This is a different dawn, of different era, of generation now. They are more vocal now than those protesters were then. And they're going to make it be known, but we should be able to say, okay, we all live in a country, and if it's America and this is one nation, we ought to be able to all be a part of that one nation and be able to be treated fairly and equal. That's what I have grandsons. I don't want my grandsons to be targeted because they're young African-American men growing up in the US and thinking that every Black person is going to commit a crime or do something heinous. It's not like that. And people shouldn't be stereotyped.
Absolutely. Actually, looters were just people that took advantage of the situation. They were not really protesting, but they just took advantage of the situation. In Florida, they don't have a uniform rule, as in, of social distancing. I think counties have taken all counties are making their own rules, so some beaches are open, which means, some people can travel from if their beach is not open, they can go to whatever beach is still open. And this is July 4th. People want to party. How can people do that responsibly, Lashanda?
I think responsibly, again, is to use their mask. They need to, and social distance. That is the main thing that's going to keep us, the mayor of the town where my office is, says, that keep us from we need to stay 6 feet apart to keep from being 6 feet under. That is a true statement. And I think if they're going to travel, it is good, it's fine if you're going to do it, but do it, with some smartness to it. We've got to social distance. We definitely have to wear our masks, because I know that in the time of the pandemic, people have become depressed. the suicide rates are up because they're lost their jobs, finances have changed, loved ones have died, people can't see their families. I get it, I understand it. But if we're going to see family members and things like that, let's just do it reasonably. Let's put a mask on and social distance.
Right. Tana, the other day we actually recorded 8,000 in Texas. So how can you tell anybody out there to probably even not party or party responsibly this weekend?
I mean, do they really want the responsible that when they get the COVID and they bring it home and they infected the whole family? That is the responsibility. I mean, I do not want to live with that. If I come, go out to a party and come home and give it to my family, especially my mom has had breast cancer, my grandma is elderly. So I have a lot of people in the family that are at high risk of getting this. And a celebration is one part, but life, is to me is mattered the most. And people can go out there and celebrate 4th of July, but be responsible, just like drinking is the same way. Do it where you wear masks, you protect yourself, you keep social distancing, and just enjoy. Or you can just be in your car and watch the firework. You don't have to interact with other human being.
Yeah.
Until we find a cure for this or a vaccine for this. So.
Okay. Lynn, do you want to add anything, or Danielle, before I take a question for you guys from somebody here?
I'll just kind of echo what everybody else is saying, is that right now, just social distance as best as possible. Wear your mask like everybody else has said. That's the best we can do. This year for me, and I was actually a little emotional about this yesterday, was we broke a 10-year tradition this weekend of my family and I getting together. For me, it was funny almost because for 9 years, 10, I guess, I'd always complain, oh my God, I got to go get this soda. I got to go get this water. Let me hurry up and get to the store and stand in this line for this potato salad. I really have never made the potato salad. I always buy it, but I put it in a bowl and I put paprika on the top of it and I put it, like in my own little bowl. And I show up with it and they're like, oh, this potato salad is delicious. I'm like, yeah, I made it. And I always have this one cousin that's like, yeah, she made it. She made her way down the Sam's aisle and into the refrigerator. And that is always the running joke. And it didn't hit me honestly, and I'm even choking up now talking about it, is that this is the first time that we did not get together. We are going to do a family Zoom call later just to kind of, crack jokes or whatever, but we have elders in our family. My mom is about to be 81 on the 19th, and my cousin's grandmother, the descendants of our grandmother, they're older, and to definitely kind of keep them safe, for the safety of them and just to kind of the safety, we were like, okay, we're not going to get together this year at our uncle's house. So everybody's kind of feeling that now. And we're like, we understand, we're just going to do what we can to be safe, and because that's all we can do. So even right now, I'm a little emotional about it, but I understand. I absolutely do. And we all do.
Absolutely. I have a question for you, Lynn. Somebody said, question to Lynn, how do you feel as veterans celebrating 4th of July without fireworks, barbecue, visiting family, and those regular travel by staying home?
4th of July is not a big deal for me. I'm so sorry. It's not. I see fireworks. It's great. I can see fireworks actually from my backyard because people have been throwing fireworks in their yards. For us, it's always been our family together, and considering that most of my family is in Texas while we're in Sacramento, it's just we're barbecuing today, and like any drinks that we have, they're in a cooler already. Like we're going to enjoy today. It's 98 degrees, so we will be fine.
Okay. Lashanda, are you cooking?
You know what? Actually, we are probably going to do something. My daughter is I'm in Arkansas. My daughter's in Texas, and with the rising cases, and then because there were some people who had COVID on positive her at her place of employment, she had to test, and of course, she came back negative. So she says, "Mom, do you think I should come home?" No, not now. You need to stay on a little bit further. So currently, no, I am actually going to be at home, take some downtime. They say I work too much. So I'm just going to rest my body, my mind and my soul this weekend and try to just stay safe. We normally have a large family together because we have like a 6 or 7 generation family, and my grandmother's 98. And she's the matriarch of our family. And I know that every year she looks forward to the family gathering. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen this time. I just pray that maybe next year she lives to see 99, and 2021 will be able to be blessed again to be able to have the family gathering.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much, you guys. And that brings us to the end of our show. I just want to appreciate you guys once more for wearing the uniform and for your service. And for those of you that have been watching, thank you so much also for joining us. Until next time, unless you guys have something to say before I close. Anybody wants to add something? Lynn? Okay.
Actually, to the regular Americans, vote, and not just for the president. Like a lot of offices in your counties, a lot of offices in your state are vote. You can vote for the person who's representing you, and you need to hold them accountable for the things that they say that they will do because they are your voice. So start emailing, start calling. I started doing that like last year, and I am getting answers. So
well, how do you do that, Lynn? How do you do that? Do you go to the office? How do you do it?
I just go to Google and I find the in what county I'm represented under. I find the representative of my county. I go to their website, and usually you can find their number, you can find their email, everything. So I just write letters, I email them, I call them, and I always get answers to my questions. I tried doing that to the Kentucky people, but they're not answering me. So
is it because maybe do you add there that you're in the military?
No, I don't add anything about being in the military. I am just a concerned citizen who voted for you to speak for me and my issues, and you're not. Why?
Wow. Danielle, so you see somebody's going to be holding you accountable. I'm hoping that you are going to win.
I hope I win as well. Representation matters. I am a Native American and African American woman. I am a veteran on top of all of that. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a decent human being. And for me, I hope those traits resonate with people. And I genuinely want to be a voice for people that's not influenced by dark money and by special interest groups that want you to turn a blind eye to what's going on. I am beholden to the people that fund my campaign, and I'm a beholden to the people that feel like they no longer have a representation in Congress or in the say of our government. I am a leader, I'm not a follower, but for me, I hope, like she said, people do vote. It is your voice. People have died for the right to vote. It's only been 100 years since women could even vote. So we should not take that suffrage. We should not take that right lightly. And up from now until November 3rd, I would do everything in my power to even risk getting COVID. Because believe it or not, for me, racial equality is worth dying for. I know that says a lot, but for me, it is. If that means that I need to educate people, if that means that I have to go to the crowd to meet people where they are while doing my best to practice social distancing, I'll be doing that. I'm on my 6th Black Lives Matter March. And just anywhere people need me, I'm there. And yes.
So Danielle, can you tell people how they can get in touch with you and how people can support you?
Yes, I am Danielle for Congress across all social media platforms, DanielleForCongress.com, Danielle for Congress at Gmail, on Twitter, Instagram. Please reach out. You can also reach me right on Facebook as well, either on my personal account, Danielle Lanier, or Danielle for Congress on my political page.
Okay.
And
Tana, you were going to say something. Are you running, Tana?
I did. I did run for Congress, but I didn't make it this time around. But I can attest to Danielle. She'd be a good representative for the people of Oklahoma. And we do have a run-up elections right now in Texas for Senate and for CD3 and CD24. We have a run-up election right now. So please go out there and vote and exercise your right. Do thorough research on who the candidate that you want to vote for. And not somebody who just there for the opportunity to get in office, but someone who actually care about the community and want to represent, like Danielle. Running a campaign with her last cycle for county judge, I know she will be a wonderful representative for the people of Oklahoma.
Absolutely. And I'd like to say thank everyone. Thank each of you for your service to our country. And Danielle, I'm definitely excited for you, and congratulations on your Tanner. I know that you're not going to let this be your stopping point. You're going to continue to do this again. And again, it's so imperative that we get out and vote, because we need our voices to be heard. And this is going to be our mark. We can make a bigger mark by voting. And I'm excited about it.
And the thing is that I want to have a seat at a table, just like Danielle want to have a seat at the table. Yeah. But having a seat at the table is just not just enough anymore. Having a seat at the table, but not having the opportunity to speak about the issues and fight for the issues is pointless to me. So I think it's time that we fought for our voice to continue to be able to speak up for the injustices going on out there. At the end of the day, if you believe in any kind of religion, we are the same. When we die, I mean, everything inside us is looks the same. It's just how God made us, and each of us has our own beauty, our own representative. And life is short, so we just have to live and take care of one another. And that's the reason why I joined the military, is to fight and protect, because coming from a communist country, my family lost everything. We don't have the freedom, and coming over here, having the opportunity to start over, get an education, serving the military, one of the greatest military on earth, and having the freedom to run for office. That's something that I will never have the opportunity to do that in Vietnam. And so as this is 4th of July, and let's just celebrate for that, and count our blessing and continue fighting and continue to speak louder. And I know that Danielle will be the voice in Congress to represent us, to speak up, because she's not afraid to speak up on any issues and any injustice out there.
Yeah. So Danielle, can we agree that maybe we can bring you on another time so we can actually talk about your issues? Today we were just talking about military.
Absolutely. That's
so perfect. I can focus on you.
I'm here whenever you need me.
Okay. Lashonda, just tell people how they can find you and your practice.
Actually, I'm on Facebook. The name of my clinic is Wellness Clinic and Healthcare Consulting PLLC. It is on Facebook. I am on Facebook also, LaShonda Clayton. So you can look me up there. Inbox me, whatever questions you have, anything that I can do to further assist and help, I will be more than glad to do what I can. I mean, I love this country that I live in. And of course, I will do anything that I can do to protect the country that I live in. So I think that we together as a team, as the saying goes, united, we stand, divided, we fall. We definitely need to be united and stand up. And if we stand up together, I know greater numbers, we will definitely prevail and get to the next mile mark.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, you guys. And that will do it for us today. Until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.